Ever feel like you just need to cut through all the clutter and like get straight to the core of something important?
Totally.
You know, like you're facing some kind of challenge at work or you just want to understand something better, but without drowning in a sea of like endless details and information.
Yeah,
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today.
absolutely.
You sent over some fascinating material on product development, and we're going to try to like extract the really key insights that everyone needs to know
Yeah, that's right.
to grasp the bigger picture.
The complete picture.
Yeah. So let's jump right in.
Sounds good.
Okay, so one of the first things that jumps out is that product development, it's like a way bigger concept than just simply creating a product, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's not just the design and the manufacturing process, it's like a whole life cycle, a journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really encompasses all phases that go into creating a product.
Right.
From that initial idea
Mm-hmm.
to launching it in the market and even what happens after.
Oh, yeah, the and beyond part is huge
Yeah, that and beyond is key.
because it's not over when it hits the shelves.
Not at all.
So where does this journey typically begin? What's that initial spark?
Well, the material we have really emphasizes this fundamental starting point, identifying a genuine need in the market,
Okay.
because ultimately successful products solve problems for people.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. You spot a frustration, some inefficiency, anything that could be better, and that sparks that first thought.
Exactly.
But how do you actually find those needs in the first place?
Well, it all starts with getting up close and personal with your potential users.
Oh, okay.
User research is key here.
Mm-hmm.
Things like surveys, conversations, really listening to people's challenges firsthand.
Right. Going straight to the source.
Exactly. Often the most valuable insights come from those direct interactions.
So you've identified a potential problem that resonates with people,
Right.
but the next step, and the material makes this really clear, is assessing the market potential. Because just because a problem exists doesn't automatically mean it's a viable business opportunity.
You got it. Not every problem is worth building a whole product around.
Right.
A crucial part of this stage is determining whether the problem is significant enough for a large enough group of people.
Okay.
And even more importantly, are they willing to pay for a solution?
Ah, that's a big one.
That's the true test of market potential.
So we've found a real need, and it has solid market potential.
Yes.
Now comes what seems like the most exciting stage, product conceptualization.
Yeah, the fun part.
This is where those initial ideas about what the product could actually be start to take shape,
Exactly.
translating that problem into a potential solution.
It is. It's the phase where the team really gets to brainstorm and use their creativity to figure out the best way a product could meet that need we identified earlier.
Okay, but before you pour tons of resources into building the solution, you've got to check if the core idea even resonates with people. Right?
Oh, absolutely.
The material talks about validating the solution.
It's vital.
Yeah.
You could have a fantastic concept in-house, but getting those early signals from potential users is essential.
You don't want to be in an echo chamber.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You need to figure out whether people will embrace the idea, whether it's practical, or if it might just fall flat.
It's all about minimizing risk early on.
For sure.
So let's say the initial validation is positive.
Right.
What happens next in terms of planning? What does the source say about building a roadmap?
Well, the product roadmap is your strategic guide. Once you have that validated concept,
Okay.
product managers will define the main goals and key areas to focus on first. You know, things that need to be addressed right away.
Mm-hmm.
The aim is to tackle those pressing problems, those major pain points, and encourage people to start using the product right away.
So it's about prioritizing those must-have features, those core functionalities.
Exactly. Although a common challenge with roadmaps
Mm-hmm.
is balancing those immediate customer requests with a long-term strategic vision.
Oh, that makes sense.
You got to think about both.
So you have this strategic outline, but you're not building the full-blown product right from the get-go.
No, not at all.
That's where the minimum viable product comes in, the MVP.
A crucial step.
Okay, what is that exactly?
Well, an MVP is that initial version of your product.
Mm-hmm.
It has just enough core functionality to be usable and to demonstrate its value to real users.
So it's like a stripped-down but functional version.
Precisely.
Okay, and then you don't just release this MVP into the wild and hope for the best.
No, there's a whole process around strategically rolling it out to users.
This is where you start getting that super valuable feedback.
Exactly, that crucial feedback loop.
So what does that look like?
Well, the material talks about running experiments to gauge interest, testing different ways of communicating the product's value proposition,
Okay.
even experimenting with things like packaging and pricing.
So you're testing different approaches, seeing what resonates.
Yeah, but the most important thing is that this is where you start receiving real-world feedback.
Hmm.
Users, thoughts, complaints, suggestions, all that juicy stuff.
Okay.
And this feedback directly informs the next steps, what you work on next.
So it's not a static launch.
Yeah.
You put the product out there, and then it's all about iterations based on user feedback, so it's constantly evolving.
It's a dynamic process. Customer feedback through all sorts of channels becomes this driving force
Okay.
behind improvements, new features, and all sorts of adjustments.
You're always learning and adapting based on how people are actually using the product.
Exactly. You're constantly learning, adapting to people's needs.
Okay.
And of course, you're also keeping in mind the overall business goals
Right. So you got to keep that big picture in mind.
and any lessons learned along the way
So this cycle of iteration just keeps going and going
until the product eventually reaches the end of its life. Yeah,
until it's time to sunset it.
exactly.
This whole process, it all seems very directed, and the source mentions that the product's main objectives can be determined after the vision and mission statements have been created.
Yes, that's important.
Can you elaborate on that a bit?
Sure. Before you even start thinking about specific features or functionalities, you need a crystal clear understanding of the overarching vision for the product.
Okay.
What's the ultimate impact you are trying to make?
What's the big why?
Exactly. Then the mission statement comes in to clarify the product's purpose, who it's for, and how it's intended to be used.
So it's like, what problem are we solving, for whom, and how?
You got it. And with that solid foundation, you can define more specific, measurable objectives.
Oh, so it all starts with that big picture thinking and then gets more granular.
Exactly. Early objectives might be broad, like achieving market acceptance, but they should eventually evolve into more quantifiable targets, things like specific KPIs or OKRs.
Where you can track your progress, see how you're doing.
Precisely. It's all about being able to measure your success.
And these objectives are directly tied to that roadmap, right?
They are. The source points out that these quantifiable goals help you figure out what features, what improvements, what functionalities the product absolutely needs to meet those objectives.
I see. So it's like a blueprint for success.
Yeah, the roadmap becomes this visual plan of how you're going to achieve those objectives.
And you're constantly prioritizing based on user research and validation.
Exactly, constantly refining and adjusting as you go.
Okay, and the material makes a good point about dates. While timelines can be included, the real focus should be on delivering value and adapting based on how you're performing against those metrics.
Right, it's about being outcome-driven, not just hitting deadlines on a calendar.
So we've talked a lot about the roadmap, but there's also this distinction between the roadmap and the product development plan.
Yes, that's an important distinction.
What's the difference there?
Well, think of the product development plan as the bigger, broader document.
Okay.
It outlines that whole journey from idea to market, not just the sequence of features.
Right, so it's like the overarching strategy document.
Exactly, and a really important aspect of creating this plan is involving as many stakeholders as possible.
Okay, why is that so important?
Well, you want to ensure that different perspectives and potential concerns are addressed right from the start.
Mm.
You need buy-in and input from various parts of the organization.
From engineering, marketing, sales, everybody.
Exactly.
And what are the fundamental elements of this plan?
The material highlights 3 core elements. First, you have the product vision, which acts as this uniting force for everyone involved.
It's like the North Star guiding the whole project.
Yes. Then you have the product mission statement, which articulates the product's purpose, target audience, and how it's meant to be used.
It's like that clear, concise explanation of what the product is all about.
Exactly. And lastly, there are the guiding concepts, these overarching principles that inform all the subsequent work.
Yes, those are like the ground rules, the guiding principles.
Yes, they ensure everyone is working from the same page.
So you've got your plan, you've got your roadmap. Now it's time for execution. Actually putting that roadmap into action and making the biggest impact possible.
This is where the teams really get to work.
Okay, what does that look like?
Implementing the roadmap involves creating those detailed timelines,
Mm-hmm.
breaking things down into smaller, more manageable sprints,
Mm-hmm.
producing those iterative versions of the product that we talked about earlier.
Yeah,
And remember, the feedback loop keeps going throughout this whole phase.
yeah, it never stops.
With ongoing input from customers, the sales team, customer support,
All those valuable voices.
highlighting areas for refinement, new opportunities, and even things like flaws that might have gone unnoticed before.
So you're constantly getting feedback and making adjustments.
Precisely. It's about being agile and responsive.
It's not a straight line from A to B.
Not at all.
It's more like a winding road with lots of turns.
Exactly. And the material really emphasizes this continuous cycle of evaluating data, synthesizing feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and regularly updating that product roadmap, along with refining that product backlog.
It's all about maximizing each development cycle.
Yes, making sure you're moving closer to those objectives and maximizing the product's impact in the market.
Okay, so to sum it all up, product development is this really comprehensive and iterative process.
Yes.
It starts with identifying a need, validating a potential solution,
Right.
planning strategically with a roadmap, building incrementally with an MVP, and then constantly evolving and improving based on user feedback,
Exactly.
all while keeping that overarching vision and those objectives in mind.
It's a holistic approach.
Yeah, it really is. Seeing all those interconnected stages involved in bringing something new into the world and making it relevant is just fascinating.
It is.
And it really makes you think. Understanding these foundational principles isn't just for tech companies or product managers in the traditional sense.
No, not at all.
These concepts of identifying needs, validating solutions, iterative improvement, they can be applied to so many things.
Absolutely.
Refining existing services in any industry,
Oh,
even tackling personal projects. Like, think about it. What overlooked problem might you encounter in your own life or field that could benefit from this type of well-defined development process?
You never know what solutions you might discover.
It's all about being open to new possibilities and applying those same core principles.
Exactly. That's the key.
It's pretty powerful stuff.
It is.
Thanks for breaking it all down.
My pleasure.
Until next time.
See ya.
Okay, bye.